making $300 a month from this. And then he's like, yo, I'm making $500 a month. And when he hit past $500 a month, which was like my rent payment at the time, I was like, this might be something good to do just to make a little bit of money. And like worst case scenario, I make no money, but I become a better developer. And I also get this awesome like video portfolio side project that I can continue to grow off of. And, you know, once we land that first role, we'll see what happens with it.
And you get to meet new people, dog. You get to meet people because like I don't know anybody like in like around me. Well, actually, like when I like if I start to ask people around and stuff, like I'll meet an electrician and he'll be like, "Yo, I learned WordPress or this and that," but like nobody like of your status at the moment. Like, do I like just sit there on a regular basis and like just hang out because like we're rare. You're rare, man.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely feels like you're alone most of the time when you're getting started, especially if you're just taking a self-taught path, right? If you're in a CS program, you're around a bunch of other CS majors, but like if you're just working a job like I was delivering pizzas
Right.
and you're just studying code, it probably is going to feel pretty lonely. But you got to kind of find out like where you can overcome that and how to network, right? So like meetups are great. Then you have just like YouTube channels that if you follow them, you'll start meeting other people in the live streams or chats, and then Facebook groups, and you just start networking before you know it.
I mean, that's how I've been doing it, bro. Like for the last year where I've been learning to code, that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been just like just meet I would go to a meetup here or there and like I'd meet people and like we would just like not a like a physical meetup but like a virtual meetup.
Hmm.
Or in what I'm doing now is like I like let's say people want to learn to code in teams by building projects together. Like that's what I'm like like they'll apply at my website and then they'll like I'll put them in a team within their experience level so that if they don't have a job yet, they can sit there and like build projects and say, "Yo, I've worked in a team and we built this, this clone or this API or, um, this extension, stuff like that. Just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Dude, what's your website? Is it do you have a website? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, now I can.
Oh, do you have a website? What's your website?
I don't have like a personal portfolio. Like 3 years ago, I made codingtutorials360.com. That's pretty much the only thing I made. And that was the project that I was like, oh, I'm going to learn Angular 1 because I need to learn Angular React at the time.
Yeah.
Enough to get me my first role.
Yo, I just met this kid. His name's Wolfie. Dude, he's like 17 or 18 or something. It's crazy how many young people are like doing this. It makes me feel a little inadequate sometimes, but it's really awesome to see that the youth are like, this is what they're doing. So it's like there's this dude. He's like 17. He's like 18 actually, and he just relocated to Texas doing with React, working in React with like 70K, fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
And then for my
Sounds
first
fun.
podcast, the kid was like, he's 18 now. I met him last year when he was 17, and he's in Poland and he's working in a VR company already. I thought that was wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as hard as people make it out to be. The key is just consistency, and like I can scream it from the rooftop, but whether people, it's a completely different thing, right? So that's probably the hardest part is just making sure that every day you're learning, and that's how you really make the money. Because like most people, they just do enough to get that first job, and then they stay shit,
Right.
and
That's what it is.
then and then nothing ever happens
And then
after
30
that.
years passes.
Yeah. Um, you know.
I'm screen sharing with you right now. So if you ever want to see my screen, or if you ever want to take over and I can view your screen and we can record that, we can do that.
Uh, yeah, I'll just let you do your thing here.
Okay, cool. Um, so let's see. Dude, you're like, I don't know, bro. It's like you're like a revolutionary, man, like a El Matador. For real though. It's serious,
A
man.
guy broke solve that issue. That's really it at the end.
Dude, what's going on with Engineered Truth, bro? This guy's fucking totally slaughtering the game right now, man.
He's he's about that money. He's he's taking he's taking all his money. The guy makes good money
Does he
a
put it right
year
back into the
from
platform?
it. Right now he is, yeah. So like the last year and a half has been about like him improving himself, but also he's starting like 3 or 4 businesses with his capital, and has 2 or 3 people that work for him and a couple contractors now. So he's going to take that 250 and turn it into $1 million in a couple years. I have no doubt.
Yeah, dude, he's freaking linking up with Dan Loke and all those other guys, man. And he's just freaking shooting off. So, bro, like, are you gonna build anything, dude? Like, I want to see you build something. Like, fucking, like, you're already building that shit. Like, I love how you took it and you just made it about you, because it's like, that's, I love that, bro. Like, it's that's right. You know, like, you're not a brand, you're you, and then you have brands.
Yeah. For me personally, I do have so like every year I have goals of what I want to accomplish as a developer. And this next year I have 2 large ones. One is to launch a long-term web application, and one is to finish up the book that I'm writing. So by the end of the year,
You're breaking up.
site. So like
Hold on.
you can think of like ZillDocs or W3 Schools. But something similar to that, except video form.
Oh,
That's
shoot.
sort of
Are
yeah.
you gonna sell the courses?
Say that again.
Are you gonna sell the tutorials?
No, it's gonna be completely free. So I'll record all of it, and I'll I might do some sort of premium version where I haven't really figured out how to monetize it, but there's definitely gonna probably just be ads on.
Bro, if you do that,
We'll go
I'll link your website to my website, w3Develops.org, and freaking I'll have people, like, they'll be able to learn through that. Because right now I have the basics. I have what they can go to. I recommend they go to is Mozilla Developer Network. I recommend they go to Free Code Camp. Mozilla is to practice, like to learn, I mean, and Free Code Camp is to practice. And then, like, I can have them to go to you to, like, learn through videos, because there's certain people that only learn through videos, bro. So that is ingenious.
Yeah.
I would love to have you, like, just send me a link when you put it up, and just freaking we can put it up there, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna eventually probably port it to. I might just build it in. I'm probably gonna build it in Ionic, so we'll have a native version for iOS, and use it, because that's one thing. It's like not everyone wants to go into Chrome and open their shit up. If it's an app, people might be more willing to use it. So we'll figure it out. I got a year, so but that's gonna be my main side project.
That's right. Man, you doing it, man. So before you started coding, did you, like, have a mortgage? Like, did you have a house and all that stuff when you were delivering pizzas, dude?
No, man. I was I was just a college student, right? So like I'd been in college like 5-6 years, just sort of half-assing it, and at that time, I mean, it depends where we're at. So like delivering jobs at a time, so and just going to school.
Right. I gotta keep that open. And all right, so let's Streamlabs. So, dude, yeah, but so the main thing though, like, when you were going through Free Code Camp, like, right now you have your own tutorial site, don't you?
My own tutorial site? No, I haven't built one. If that's what you're asking, yeah.
No, but no, you haven't, bro. I love the contributions you did for Free Code Camp with those videos, man. Dude, that's so cool with JavaScript, because that's what I'm learning right now.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest, I've been dabbling with JavaScript, and I'm learning a lot about it, and it's really fun. And I want to buy your the free algorithms, not the free algorithms, the algorithms. The what's it? 100?
Mm-hmm. The 100 algorithm challenge, yeah.
Once I get fluent enough in that, I actually want to purchase that, and you know, so I want to work with that, bro, because that's gonna be fun. But bro, all right, so we're gonna go live in like 5, 4, 3, 2, live. Hello and welcome. We are here with Dylan Israel, the creator of Coding Tutorials 360. And today we're going to talk to him about his roadmap and his journey as a web
How's it going?
developer. How's it going, Dylan? Everything's good on my side, man. We're just hanging out in the sunny Florida, man. Just enjoying the weather, enjoying the ability to learn and opportunity, man.
Now,
Hello? All right.
sorry, you're kind of in and out. I can barely hear you.
Can let me try this. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I got it. I'm gonna get a new mic soon, but
I think it's a lag thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's possible.
All right. I'm guessing you're gonna cut this up anyhow. So.
Yeah.
All right. Just roll with it.
But yeah, Dylan. So talk to me, man. What's going on with how is everything, man? And like, I know how long have you been doing? Introduce yourself to us, please.
Yeah. So a little history about me. I've been a full-time salary developer for about 2.5 years. I have been really coding for about 4, 5 at most, and sort of how I got my start was I was a computer science major at Cal State Los Angeles, and I felt like I wasn't learning anything, and I really just didn't like it. So I dropped out of the program with the plan and got an internship, then got a business analyst / technical writer role, and then got my first dev job. And through this whole process, I've been somewhat documenting it by doing tutorials online on the YouTube channel. And that's been it ever since. Just been, volunteering through code.org, doing tutorials, continuing to put out what I'm learning out onto the web. And now I think I have 800 plus videos and, millions of minutes watched, and it's been good.
So from the beginning, like, what made you want to get into programming?
Really, the thing that got me into programming was just the college program, right? So like, you don't do as much coding as you would expect when going into a computer science program. It's much more sort of theoretical than it actually is practical. But at the time, and this was maybe around 2012 when I was looking at degrees, and I was like, all right, I'm finishing up my general ed. At the time, I was like, what's the best degree? And defining best degree was what has the most jobs, what's going to pay the best, and what's going to continue to grow. That's what I define as a good career. And so I looked up the Bureau Labor of Science and Statistics or something like that. And the computer science degree was the best. And I was like, all right, cool. I've always built websites as a kid, like just HTML and CSS, nothing complex, but I was like, that'd be cool. And so that was how I got into programming. And I found that I liked the programming aspect of it more than I liked the degree program. And that's sort of how I got my start.
So when you were a kid, you were building HTML and CSS websites, like, what were you doing with those? Like, what kind of websites were you making?
Yeah, so I started back when I don't even know if Yahoo does this anymore, but Yahoo would let you build your own page, right? And Yahoo. They had a GUI sort of thing that you could drag and drop, and then eventually I moved over to a small text editor and I built my own site. And this I'm talking about like in middle school, towards maybe the first year of high school, and I built my own site that just had a bunch of stuff. I had a friend that drew some stuff, so I put up like his dragon pictures. I then had I was in journalism, so I'd have my stuff I'd write for journalism, and anyhow, long story short, I was building this website that just had a bunch of crap on it, and I'm just having a blast. And I published this article called basically 10 reasons why San Dimas High School sucks, and someone forwarded it to the superintendent. Someone, I guess, that didn't like me very much, and I got called into the office, and then they basically bullied my mom into calling the hosting company and say I stole their credit card, and they took my site down because I refused to take it down. And that was the sort of stuff I guess I was doing when I was a teenager.
You're sitting there fighting you're fighting for our rights over there when you're in middle school, man. Free speech, man. That's insane. They did the same thing with me, man. I did a video, but I can understand with the video, you don't want to record kids, but you just was expressing your mind and stuff back when you were a kid, man, and they're trying to censor you. So, yeah, man, look where you are now, man. You got the voice. You got the voice. You got it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I was trying to speak out, right? You're like 12, 13, 14, more so trying to be funny, but I was at least proud of myself for not giving in, and like, they were freaking out about it, but they bullied my mom, which just shows their character, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's okay. We all move on from it, and
Hmm.
just they know what they did, man, and trying to censor the people and everything. But it's all right, dude, because it's a new day, and now we're better than before, bro. So I'm thinking like, what like after so you started with that, bro. Like that's cool. So you started with that, and then like then you went to high school, and like I'm pretty sure you just focused on high school after that and everything.
Yeah, that's sort of, it's kind of a trip now looking back on it, because freshman year or eighth grade, whatever it was, when that happened. And then you go, like, the next time I would touch code would be like maybe a decade later, because that was like a hobby, and I was like building that, and then they sort of killed it for me, right? They killed my website that I'd been working on for like 4 or 5 months, and just
Word.
like every day I'd come home from working from class and work on that, and then that killed it for me. And so went through school, and started half-assing college, and then I wouldn't touch it again until I enrolled into a CS program.
Um, like when you were in high school, like your senior year and everything, like did you prepare yourself to like get there?
To get through high school, or to get to being a developer.
To get through to being a developer, like to
It
start your
wasn't even on the radar. No,
no?
like, no, it was like, all right, well, the next 2 years were going to be like general ed, right? And so, like, I had no idea what I was going to go to school for.
Right.
And honestly, part of the reason I wasted so much time in school was I was just thinking it was going to happen. It was going to be something like, oh, yeah, this is it for me. And it wasn't until like I was like 3 years of doing general ed where it was, oh, you know what? I think I have to choose something, because now I have way more units than I need to transfer. And so, and my dad's telling like, look, get your shit together. And so that's when I, sort of got forced into having to look and see what it is I'm going to do.
So when you got to college and everything, but not when you were doing the 2 years for the what is it, associates?
Not, I didn't even get an associate's. No, it was just like your general education. So a lot of times, so I did a pretty similar path that most people did, where they'll go to community college, save some money, and then they'll knock out their general education, which are sort of your prerequisites to go get a bachelor's, and then transfer to a Cal State or whatever school that they're going to, which is usually a little bit more money. Like state colleges are usually a little bit cheaper, but yeah. So just knock out your general ed, and then go and transfer, and continue on.
Mm-hmm. So you were doing that, and then so the bachelor's is computer science. That's what the degree is, though, right? Like
Yeah, that's
okay,
what I was pursuing. I never got it, but that's what I was pursuing.
right. But see the thing with that is it's like when that was the option to go and get that the CS degree with the bachelor's, like what happened at that time? Like why? Like because I,
I
I
mean,
understand like you don't want to spend all that money, and then it's like I can learn all this on my own. You probably saw it firsthand. You're like, I can learn all this on my own. I don't need to sit there and pay $100,000, $400,000 to sit there and do something I don't need to do when I can sit here and do it before all these guys. It's kind of like when some people go and get their GED when they're like 16 and then finish college by the time they're what, like
yeah. So
20?
I'm a little bit unique, where I actually didn't. I don't owe a dollar to college.
Really?
My father was paying for my schooling, and I was getting loans. So like anything, I was getting the, not loans, but the government will pay you to go to college essentially, and you can get $5,000-6,000. And so like my tuition at Cal State Los Angeles like 8 or 9, and so he's making up the other $2,000 or $3,000 a year. And so we were pretty economical with that. And so, about 30 grand for 3 years of college isn't that bad when 20 of it's being covered by the government. And so it wasn't, I hated it. I hated it the minute I got there.
Are you like,
And
are you frugal? Are you like super frugal?
yeah. I save, well, I don't save anymore because I put it towards a mortgage, but I typically save 50+% of my salary.
And I'm sure that's
And
a
like
habit that you
income.
learned, because I noticed that with my current boss. Like that's what I noticed with him. He's super frugal. Like if a shovel breaks, he'll go find another handle for a shovel and he'll put it in there instead of going and buying a new one for $40.
Yeah, so I don't mind spending money, and frugal typically has a bad connotation to it. What I would say is I'm smart with my money. I'm willing to shop around. I understand what I need and what I want. And like, I think a lot of people, when it comes to money, they wanting and needing are the same thing, and that becomes a real issue.
Yep, that's true. That's the truth. And some people, I would recommend that they rewind that, because that right there is some knowledge. Like, do you watch those motivational videos and stuff like that?
There was a point in time where at my last job, I was getting kind of miserable. And so it was just kind of to a stressful position. And so I started watching a couple of motivation videos at random. And there's probably about a 6-month period, but for the most part, not anymore. And the reason for that is when you watch a lot of those videos, although they are good for a short-term boost, they don't necessarily solve the issue that if you can't motivate yourself and you can't be proud of yourself and have the mental strength to motivate yourself, then you're just postponing you failing at a task. And I think that also goes to a lot of people not being willing to fail. Like failure is what has made me successful, right? I failed at college, and that has given me the path to go and be successful in my own way. And so a lot of people are scared of that, and they go and watch these videos that give them maybe a day of motivation, 2 days, but long term, you have to be able to keep yourself engaged and motivated.
Yeah, you're already at the point in your life where, like, I think you've been at that point where you just take action. Continuous
Yeah,
action.
I develop a plan. A lot of people don't ever have plans. They just think shit's going to happen. Shit doesn't just happen. And if it does, it's bad shit. And so you have to really make a plan and stick to it. And that consistency and that execution is what's going to make you successful.
That's the truth. That's the truth. So when you were in so what happened? Like you were in college and you just dropped out, and like how long, like what happened? Did you start free code camp then, or did you get a job then, or did you look other places then? Or what happened?
Yeah, so the whole game plan was I was really miserable in school for a lot of time, and although my college was paid for, I had to figure out rent, I had to figure out food, so I'm working like 2-3 jobs while I'm doing it, which a lot of people who go to school are. And something like 1/4 or 1/5 of all college students are homeless, which just shows you how jacked up the whole system is. But
excuse me, you were working how many jobs?
2 or 3 at a time, so it really depended. So I was between delivering pizzas at 2 different places, doing Lyft, and doing manual labor for like this wine vineyard that I was installing wine vineyards for a bunch of rich people in the hills. So it all depended, and tutoring. So we're talking about a 3 to 5 year period. So I had tons of jobs, and then whatever side hustle I'm trying to do outside of it. Then I have to also do school, right? So I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm depressed the whole time I'm doing this. And so at some point, I asked my dad if he'll pay for a coding boot camp. I tell him like, look, I can't drop. I got to drop out of college. I hate this. I'm miserable. And he's like, go figure it out on your own. And so because he's like, I'm paying for your school, I'm not paying for anything else. You need to finish this. So that's fair. All right, it's his money. And so I have to develop a plan of my own on how to execute. So what I do is I say, first thing I need to do is get an internship, because experience is everything. Experience is more important than a degree, and experience is more important than anything on your resume. So I go find an internship. They hire me as a freelancer. I start picking up some freelance clients.
How'd you get an internship?
It's like I applied.
I
And
would send 100 applications anywhere for anything, man. You got to get it out there.
Yeah, and that's what I did. And the thing that finally got me an internship was on Craigslist. There is a resume section, and I posted my resume on there with the intent of looking for a internship that was software related, and that got me like 4 or 5 calls, and I took the first one.
Wow. What state was this in?
This is in California. So this internship paid $12 an hour, and it was 2 hours plus each way, and I had to be there at 6 a.m. So I was driving for the 3 month internship there 4 or 5 days a week, getting up at like 3:30 to make it there by 6 a.m. and then working a full day and then driving 2 to 3 hours with the traffic on the way back. So that's how I got my first one. I was like, all right, cool, I got this, and now I'm freelancing, but I'm not making that much money freelancing, and it's not steady work, and I need to get some more relevant experience. So
what
from
were you doing? What were you what technologies were you working with at this time when you were freelancing? And
so at that time it was HTML, CSS, and a little bit of PHP and WordPress. So like, nothing that minus HTML and CSS, but nothing that I'm really working with nowadays, right? So like, I haven't touched WordPress or PHP in a while, and thank God for that. But
they told me with WordPress, man, you just knock out websites. That's what it's for. If you freelancing, you just knock out websites with WordPress. That's what WordPress
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I mean, people buy WordPress templates and sell it to people for thousands of dollars, and they pay $50. People never, and they just swap out a few images. But yeah, I mean, WordPress is pretty much solid for any small business, right? You have a restaurant that needs a website, a gas station, something like that, a very small e-commerce site. That's fine. But WordPress can help with that. But yeah, so I got my role there, and then I ended up a girl I had dated in the past. I'd reached out to, like, I'm reaching out, I'm doing my networking thing. I'm reaching out. I'm saying, anyone who I think who I have a good relationship with, I said, just let you know, if anyone's hiring, I'm trying to find a job that's somewhat tech related, software related. And she goes, well, the software company that she works at a different company, but software company that builds our software that we own, I might have a role for you. And she's like, at that time, I've been doing YouTube for about 6 months, so I've been recording videos. I think I have like 100 or 200 subscribers. I'm making maybe $4 a month. Like, we're not doing it big by any means, but it wasn't about that. It's about learning, about growing, right?
Exactly.
And so I go in, I interview, and they're like, we need someone that is going to work at our company and develop videos and gather requirements. And they're like, all right, cool. You can clearly make videos, and you're passionate about software. That's going to be great. So you have some idea of what we're talking about, and you seem to be able to hold somewhat of a conversation. And so they offered me a role, and I was stoked. It was about $45,000 a year. It's an hourly role, but that was what the hourly broke down to. And like, it was, at that time, it was a shit ton of money to me.
What exactly were you doing? Like, I mean, if you can say, like, not exactly, but like what?
Yeah, so they think of a company like Blackboard or Moodle, where they're like, it's a college program where you might enroll in classes, you might take tests, you might all that sort of stuff. So that's an education platform. And so what I was doing was I was doing release notes, I was gathering requirements from the charter schools that own the company and were going to use the software.
How old are you when you were doing this?
God, this was not that long ago, but let's see, I'm 31, so maybe 26, maybe 27.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I'm still struggling to get by, right? $45K in Los Angeles, and you got your health insurance, you got your medical, your dental, you have your car insurance, you have rent. My mom's still bringing me groceries, and this whole time I'm there, I'm just putting in 2 to 4 hours on the weekdays and like 14 hours on the weekends of just knocking out as much code as I can get just every single day. I'm going to meetups. I'm putting out videos left and right. And like, the funny thing is, like, you can go and sort of see in the background, because I put the webcam up, like, there's like a microwave in the background of where I'm eating, because I'm like eating and sleeping in the same spot. We're talking about like a 300 square foot $1,000 a month room I'm renting in Los Angeles.
So hold on, what's up with those meetups? Like, what was going? Like, how was that first meetup? Like, what
Yeah, so I've always been really like it's kind of I didn't even know this was a thing, but I was driving for Lyft and I'm just kind of shooting the shit with the people in the car and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm an Android developer." I'm like, "Dope." And he's like, "Yeah, have you heard of Code and Coffee?" I was like, "No." He's like, "It's a meetup." I was like, "Oh, what? Like what? Like what is that?" Right? And he tells me about it. I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna go, right? I'm gonna go and check it out." And so I do, and it's kind of cool. People are there talking about code, and you very quickly realize, or at least I did, how shitty you are of a developer or aspiring developer compared to real developers.
okay,
And but everyone's there to help, and so I meet a couple people and network a little bit, and that just sort of started from there. So this was the Code and Coffee I went to was in the Long Beach area. So
do they have
nowadays I would just go on meetup.com and look for something.
okay? Well, I'm gonna click on the first one, see what's going on. Cause that's pretty cool, dude. I've never like actually been to a meetup like in person, so that would be like pretty awesome. Like one day I want to like host a meetup or something like that, but uh, where it's
Yeah, I encourage everybody to do it because not only is it great to learn, but people are typically actively looking to hire at these things. And so
yeah, dude,
the
definitely.
last meetup I went to in downtown St. Petersburg, we had three employers that were there looking to hire people. Like that was the first thing before we had our two presentations. Three of them walked up, "Hey, this is what we're looking for. We're in the back. If you want to come talk to us, cool."
I like this. This is awesome. Make sure I keep that around. Yeah, man, that's definitely something I think a lot of people should start going to meetups. We're gonna be hosting meetups and just a lot of these build to learn platforms. You guys should definitely be using them and building projects with other people, as well as using your resource, such as Dylan's resource with the 100 algorithm challenges that he has now, and other resources such as the coding tutorials 360.com. And you can go on his GitHub and find, and his LinkedIn even. He has a lot of, you have a lot of links on here, man. Nice. Um, but yeah, dude. So what? So all right. So you started going to the meetups, and like, did anything interesting start happening like around this time?
Yeah, so I ended up meeting this girl there, and I wasn't trying to date her, but anytime you meet, oftentimes you're single, they're single. It always feels that way. Like it's very hard to um,
You got a friend.
yeah, yeah, it's hard to be like, "Hey, I'm just a friend," sort of thing. And so what ended up happening was she came over and we're like studying code, and I was like, "Hey, we're just friends, right?" She's like, "I didn't want to say anything because I thought you might think it's rude, but I'm actually a lesbian." I'm like, "Perfect, excellent." Like I found my buddy, I found my buddy, and we're gonna code together. And so that's what happened. So I started going to meetups with her in now downtown Los Angeles, and from there, we went to a bunch, and then she'd come over, and we'd be like knocking out algorithms on free code camp. We'd be building
What?
projects, and
Nice, dude. That's
so
awesome.
it was great, man.
That is so cool, bro.
Doing some pair programming, all that stuff.
What? No way, bro. That's like I don't know, man. That's pretty cool. I don't mean to get
But
more excited
but
than you, but man, that's pretty cool, dude.
but that's what I mean. That's what happens, right? So like the meetup that she started a free code camp Los Angeles meetup where while
Wow.
she was learning to code, she was having other people that were doing free code camp, and like they would go and to this hotel lobby every single day, and they'd just be coding, helping each other out, and that's how they were getting better.
That's awesome. Like that is so. That's like I don't know why I was in there. But yeah, dude, that's awesome, bro. Like building things with other people, I think is just You know, it's because once you get to the job, that's pretty much what it is, right?
Yeah. So every workplace is different, but the common workplace is you're going to be on a team, right? You're going to be working with a group of devs, and you're going to need to be able to communicate, and that involves pair programming sometimes, and it just involves communication, and being able to take criticism as well as give it in a professional manner. So
Oh, dude, I'm already following you. Sweet, we connected. um, yeah, that's yeah, that's why. See, that's why I'm so like avid on it right now because like I totally agree with that. Like, especially if you like put that on your LinkedIn. Hey, I've worked in this collaborative environment already. Golden. Um, but yeah, dude. So like around this time, so you started going to meetups, you started building projects. Right?
yeah. I mean, I started just every day coming home from work, I was essentially doing everything I could get my hands on Free Code Camp or Code Academy, and started doing their algorithms, started doing their projects. And so the projects on my resume were getting added. I started doing little certificate stuff I could get,
Let me ask you
and
this.
just tried to.
When did you
What was that?
start like building like with like not building but like using these game platforms that I see you using? I see you going on these game platforms like Code Fights or Code Wars or Code
Oh,
City, man, and
so I
I
never.
really
After I already had a job, I started playing around with code fights. But that's one of the best ways that you can prepare, right? And so like my 100 algorithm challenge course is 100 of those sort of algorithm type sites where you can, because that's
wow.
a typical whiteboard problem. And so I wish I had done it before,
Oh,
but
you curated all that, bro. Nice.
yeah. And so um but yeah, so I was just doing the projects there and whatnot, and when I felt I was ready, I started to apply.
Nice. So, all right, so you were going all right, so now you're going to meetups and you're meeting people, but around this time, what's going on though?
Well, I'm working full time, right? So I'm working the 9 to 5, and I'm doing the tutorials. I'm going to the meetups, and I start seeing that people. And mind you, we're a software company, so we're hiring, and I start seeing from this glass window the sort of whiteboard problems. Again, it's like reverse a string and fizzbuzz and stuff like that. And these guys are failing it, and I'm like, shit, I can do that. Like, and so at that point, I've been looking at what jobs were on the market, and I started noticing that I was getting I wasn't getting any calls back in the Los Angeles area. So I expanded out, and I was like, oh, well, it turns out if I expand out to, let's just say, the whole United States, which is what I did, that these more rural areas, that's not Los Angeles and New York, where there's a ton of devs and a lot more competition, I am getting calls back, and they are interested in me. And so eventually I ended up taking a role out in Florida.
That's what it's, that's the best thing about being a developer is that you have the option to go anywhere and do anything basically from your house if you need to and work in that environment, whatever environment you wish. If you want to go to the office, you can go to the office. If you want to work from your house, you can work at your house. If you want to work on a mountaintop, you can work on a mountaintop with Wi-Fi. you know, it's I think it's pretty cool, dude, that like with being a developer, a programmer, we are able to pretty much we can be anywhere as long as we have our technology with us. Uh, so yeah, man. So yeah, dude. So that happened, and then what happened after that? Like, so you started. You came to Florida, and you moved down here, and you got a job here because freaking you're able to do that, bro.
Yeah, so I at the time I didn't have many projects, but I had my YouTube channel, I had my website that I built in Angular JS, which was I was like, okay, I'm getting pretty good at JavaScript. At least I think at least at the time I thought I was. And HTML, CSS, I think I can get a role in the front end. It's like, what is it that's holding me back? It's like, all right, I got to get comfortable with Git, and I have to learn a front end framework. So I did that, and I built that project, and I started applying.
Let me ask you this:
And I was like,
how did you get familiar with Git? What resource did you?
I just started watching videos on YouTube. and following it. That's it. I'm one of those guys. If I need a quick start sort of thing, like, give me a 1 hour to 20-minute video. That's it. Like, really gets one of those things where you do basically the same 5 things. And so at the time, I still used a desktop application to help with it. And so I just used that, and that made it a little bit easier.
But there's different. You need more than 5 things when you're working with other developers. Am I right or wrong? Like if you're
no, not really. You just have to be more aware of where you're doing those 5 things. So, but yeah, so I was building projects and watching videos, and took the job in Florida. 2 weeks later, I'm driving 3,000 miles away in my little 3-cylinder Mitsubishi Mirage, and I have it packed to the ceiling, and I threw away the rest of the crap. And I show up with about $500 in my pocket, and 10 days of the cheapest Airbnb I could find for about $14 a day in this little room that I'm renting. And then I go find a room, and the next 3 months I'm just like putting in work, making sure I keep this job, right? The last thing I want to do is it's like, hell yeah, I made it, and then get sent back with my head in my lap and just shamed. And so I was like, cool, put in work, and then here we are 2.5 years later. I've gone to a new job now, and life is good.
So, dude, you got this job. So what was the workflow like? What was the difference in workflow from the previous jobs you were working at and in the environment you were working into when you actually got, this isn't your first stamp, but once you got to down here and you were just doing it like solo, like you couldn't rely on anybody but yourself, and you were just getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, you should have that mentality anyhow. If you're a developer and you're relying on other people, you're gonna have issues, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to be the one that can solve problems, right? Developers are problem solvers. That's why it's so important to learn how to think like a developer rather than memorizing things. People who memorize stuff long term are going to be really shitty developers. In my case, it was like, all right, cool. This is a new project. I'm on a team of about 3 to 4 devs, and this is what they need me to do. These are the technologies. There's a whole subset of things that I have no idea that I have to learn and didn't even know were a thing. And so every day I'd come home and just get going and try to learn these things in and out and see what I need to do and go from there.
And so how have you liked it in Florida?
It's been good, man. The cost of living's lower, and the housing market's cheap, and I've been liking it. The market's pretty hot as well. But yeah.
So have you been to meetups and stuff down here?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't go to as many as I used to, but I've gone to several, probably about 15 in the last 2.5 years, and I probably will start hosting some as well with my work eventually. That's something we have down in the pipeline. And I have a friend, or I should say a colleague, who's my tech lead, and he hosts one, and he's been asking for speakers. So I might go speak at one and give a talk about JavaScript and things like that.
Dude, that would be really cool. I got to take some of your JavaScript courses because that is what you focus on. Like, you're pretty much a JavaScript specialist at the moment.
Yeah, that's my bread and butter.
So between JavaScript and PHP, what do you consider, is JavaScript more money, especially when you get to React?
Yeah, so PHP is one of those things where there's so much of the web that runs on it, and a large portion does, but it's the portion that doesn't pay well, and it's the portion that you don't really want to be a part of. So if you want to and you can make money doing PHP, you can make money doing JavaScript, but the one thing with JavaScript is you just want to make sure you get good. You can do full stack JavaScript now. There's frameworks for everything you want to do: desktop development, mobile development, web development, backend development. JavaScript's very functional in that aspect, and pretty much every developer at some point in their time will have to get good with JavaScript. But the one caveat to that is if you're going in the front end, which is what I specialize in, is that if you want to make real money, you got to get good. There's a lot of bad front end developers or people who can barely work in the front end, and so that's where people sort of get they slip and fall, right? They stay at that 45, 50, 60K range and never go above it because they never grow.
So, dude, like, do you you? I noticed that people that actually work in the web and stuff, they a lot of their stuff they don't push to like GitHub and stuff. Like, what are like the top, like, I don't know, what are some really good things? I heard like GitLab is good.
I mean, I just use GitHub. I know there's other Git repo sites out there, but people started jumping to other websites just because Microsoft bought GitHub. I'm not worried about it though, personally.
Yeah, I use Git. I'm not worried about that. No, I'm talking about for like private repos.
Well, you can get a private repo on GitHub. You just got to pay for it.
Oh, that's true. But for a free private repo.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Here's my thing is like, oftentimes like I'm not even remotely concerned about people stealing my personal code. You want to steal it, fine. I'm the one that's updating, maintaining it, monetizing it, and when I have a backend that's associated with it, you then also have to go and create the database. You have to launch it, and like if there's ever a project where I'm like, this is going to make me, $5,000 a month. Maybe I'll go pay the $8 for it, but for the most part, all my stuff's out there for free, and it's part of it. I'm fine with that because I think it's part of the community, right? It's part of, part of. I think it's a responsibility of developers to mentor those below us, or whether you're at the top or the bottom, and I think it makes you a better developer, and I think it provides a lot of value for other people as well.
So you got the JavaScript. So how do you think? I mean, with the new transition of Free Code Camp, like what do you think about this transition of the newer version? I love Free Code Camp, man. But what do you think about this new transition of like the UI? I know they spent a very long time with it, and I appreciate every developer that used it, man. But I'm just like I'm curious, like for your opinion, because you've learned the older version of Free Code Camp, like with the
Yeah, so at this point, I've done pretty much all Free Code Camp, old and new, and I would say that it's a beautiful thing that they took the time to go and add so much new content and update the existing content, because especially in web dev, it's slowed down a little bit, but it has been exploding and exploding and exploding, and so it's very nice that they've taken the time to not only build a faster site, but also to add so much additional content that's relevant to the industry. So I think it's great.
Yeah. See, my mind as a beginner, it's like I'm thinking, oh, I can't push this button and make it easy. But, but it's like I understand and I respect and I appreciate the work that went into it, bro. Because I know that it's beyond my plateau of comprehension at the moment, man. So I'm waiting to just get this all taken care of with the JavaScript, and I'm definitely gonna get your JavaScript course, dude. I want to take the challenge, man. I mean, and I wanna start getting people to contribute to open source more, because like December starting today, 24 pull request is underway. It's official. It's starting today. Have you heard about that?
I'm such a bad, like, let's actually contribute via like helping on other projects, but I haven't been following this one too much.
Uh, I'm interested in it because I want to like make some kind of like video or something like with Free Code Camp or something, like where I show like how to contribute to the code base, and I want to kind of set my repository up so it's similar, because the structure of Free Code Camp is just beautiful, with open source and just getting everyone involved, and it's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and on that note, there's a lot of different ways to contribute. A lot of times people get intimidated to go and pull down a branch and sort of submit a PR for it. But there's, you can volunteer, and even as someone who's some bit of a novice, go and volunteer through like code.org or to your local elementary school to go talk to the kids and just get them interested in STEM, engineering, and web development, and they'll get a kick out of it.
No, that's the truth, man. That's the truth. I wanna build a program like that, like, and get it involved in the schools and stuff, where like kids, like I remember where freaking I was younger, dude, and freaking I was in school, and it was weird because it was in like a lower, I don't know if it was in Hartford, Connecticut, bro, and it was in like, I want to say it was in a bad place, but it was freaking the way the school technology part was set up. It was freaking awesome, dude. I was in like in the 7th grade. I had like a 16-year-old girlfriend, and I was like 13, and freaking I was there, bro, and I was like, we were building our own computers, and we could take them home, and all the kids there were great with math. It was crazy, and freaking um yeah, dude, like uh they even had like engineers or something from what's it called? Like some engineers from some company come in, and they were building bridges or something. They had this software where they had us build bridges, and freaking it was crazy because everybody in the class failed that thing, but I got my bridge like the cheapest and the best and the strength and all that stuff. So I always thought that was pretty cool, computers and doing all that stuff. And then I got the book by Cory Doctorow, Little Brother, and it was just kind of like this hacktivist kind of like sci-fi tech book where like he saves the world kind of through code. Um, so after I got read that, I was like in middle school, and that kind of got me into it. And I was like, all right, so I want to learn. He said learn Python, so I was, you know, ever since then, anything Python, I just kind of like looked at it and read it a little bit with my young mind. Um, so right now, like you're on this path, and so how did the YouTube thing, like how does like in not even just the YouTube thing, but the freaking what's it called, this whole like, how do you how do you stay up to date? Like, do you felt like what publications, or what are your main like resources, or not resources, but like articles or sources of news for tech?
Yeah, so it's a little interesting. It sort of depends, right? So when you're working with a bunch of developers, everyone's got their own thing and they're sharing it on, whether it's Slack or Teams or whatever you're using. So you have a lot of that going on. But really, it's very easy to stay up to date on the technologies that you're using when you update to the latest, right? So like you notice, oh, Angular went from 6 to 7. Cool. Let me go check that out real quick because I'm professional, so I work on it. And also you set goals, right? So like my goal for this last year was to get better. And so like to actually level my code up and, not necessarily learn a framework or, a language. That's easy. But how do I become a better developer? Not how do I become a developer that knows more things, but how do I actually get better? And so for that, I sort of asked my tech leads. I sort of asked the internet and did my own research. And so, like, okay, cool. These are the principles I need to learn. This is what I need to get better. And I sort of pursued it. And then you start finding the things that you like, right? So I have a Facebook group called Code, Tech, and Caffeine. It has about 8,000 members or something like that, and people are sharing things on there. And for the most part, people add me on LinkedIn, and everything I see that's just sort of spam towards me, and this might be unique to my situation, is all software related. So I get to see what's going on, and
Now they
you
got
start
bots, man.
you go and go on God, what do you call that, Reddit, and then you can join a couple of groups as well, stay up to date. And then I have about 100 YouTube channels that are all software that I'm subscribed to, and so you see what's going on and whatnot.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting people in Code Tech and Caffeine. Like, there's a lot of people like asking good questions on a lot of beginners and a lot of experienced people as well. So it's a great community.
Hmm.
and you know they do follow your work, so they do like they know like the challenges and all this other work that you do, and it's awesome. You know, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's unique to be in a situation where you've documented so much of your journey from before you were a dev to now going from junior to like a senior level and continuing to grow and mature as a developer and putting the time and energy in. And so, there's not a lot of people who have been following for the channel for 3+ years. They got to see like, here's a guy who's essentially sleeping on a floor with a microwave trying to teach himself to code, to here's a guy who's making 6+ figures, bought a house, and still grinding it out to get to the next journey.
Right. How long? How long have So what's your like when you do these things? How do you manage your time?
Uh, so my time's what it is that I'm trying to.
Oh,
So there's
you're breaking up
time
there.
I'm in a unique situation where most people my age, I'm 31 at this point, probably have kids and you know, are their time is they're busy with their families. That's understandable. I've decided to put off children for a while, and now it gives me the flexibility where I just need to make sure that I'm happy, my cats are happy, and my girlfriend is happy, and I make my bills on time. And so, between having this side project that's really a passion at this point, it's my hobby. I have a software side project hobby that's helped me. Of like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna stick to one video a week, 2 videos a week, whatever it is, and force myself to learn and grow. And books I read, I make sure to read a book before bed. So I'll read a chapter out of a software book. Like I said, most of my YouTube channels that I watch are software related. If something catches my eye, I'll go on there. I'll take 30 minutes a day at work to go and learn. So that could be in a variety of ways, but it's you find the time. It's like the gym, right? No, I shouldn't say no one, but most people, they go to the gym and then they stop going to the gym because they haven't made it a part of their life. It is a part of my life, and I'm happy about that because I enjoy it.
So like, how does it? You all right? Yeah. So you just made it a part of your life because you enjoy it, man. That's awesome, dude. That's the best way to do it. Like
Yeah,
when you have that
yeah,
passion.
it's a maturity thing to a degree, right? So like,
Right.
you go and like, most people have the hardest thing for people to do is stick to something that is hard. That's it. It's consistency. And if you're consistent, you'll do well. And so like, the thing that has led me to be successful is consistency. And every day I consistently take one step forward to being a better developer. Some days it's bigger steps, some days it's smaller steps, but every single day I'm moving forward. I'm not standing still. I'm definitely not moving back.
Right. That's it, man. That's exactly what it is. Progress and process. You know, positive focus, man. That's what it's about. You know. Um, I'm just saying, like positive focus. I remember I was chilling with Vanilla Ice one day. I told him I was talking about focus, man, because I remember I heard about Bill Gates and Warren Buffett talking about focus. They said something about their key to success or something was like focus, you know. And then I told Vanilla Ice that same thing. He said the same thing, but he said positive focus, and that really resonated with me because it's true, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people that here's the thing about hard work is a lot of people can work hard for like 5 days. It's the work week. They can work hard for 5 days and barely that. So if you can just work hard every day, or you can work hard for 6 months at a time and take 2 days off, you're gonna blow the competition out of the water. It's not even gonna be comparable. And so it's about, you just need to outlast the hard work, because that's the limit for 99% of the population. Is they work hard 5 days and they've earned the weekend. So if you can just keep doing that, you should.
Hello.
You there?
Uh,
Hello?
yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
Yeah, my screen share got shut for a second, man. I think
It's all right.
this
That's
was going
probably a
on for a
pretty
while.
good spot to end it at this point. We've been going for a little bit.
All right, dude. Yeah, good one, man. And hey, thank you very much for being here, bro. And hey, man, I hope you much success and just stay focused, man, cause you're on it, man. Just thank you,
I,
bro.
appre-
And
I
well,
appreciate it.
let me ask you.
Good luck.
Let me ask you a couple things right quick.
Yeah.
Let me ask you the things on the topic right quick. 'Cause remember we had wrote some things down right quick. So let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, what does the future of programming look like? Oh, and yo, go to Dylan Israel's channel and subscribe. Um, because he definitely has, like, every weekend, man. He'll answer you guys this question, and he'll let you guys know anything you pretty much want to know that's programming related, and he's a very good developer, man. So just that he takes the time out there to do that for you is in my opinion, very generous with his time. So let me ask you these quick questions right quick. What does the
Mhm.
future of programming in your sector look like? Like, in what you're doing, like, what does it look like to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think in the front end it's going to change too much. Um, there's still going to be people swearing that the front end is going to be taken over by AI and like all that sort of craziness. But I think just sort of web dev in general it's already started becoming more niche, where people are becoming specialists. Where like there used to be a time where you were doing front end and back end, and and deployments and quality assurance, and as companies grow in size and responsibilities, you start seeing that that sort of the full stack dev, although it exists, the full stack dev is pretty much now just front end and back end, and then the people are becoming more specialized. Where now we have quality assurance, now we have DevOps, now we have front end and mobile team, and it's not one person doing everything. And I think that's really what we're going to be seeing happen more and more and more.
Um, okay. Since okay, so that's what the future looks like. What does it look like currently? Like, what is it? What needs to take place right now that's driving, or what's taking place right now that's driving it forward in that
I
aspect?
mean, I think just the recruiting process is you'll start seeing that like full stack roles are really looking for a front end developer that just understands how the back end works. And so the companies that employ people, they they haven't really realized it, because they in their mind they're looking for one person to do everything, and that ends up being the case most of the time, because developers are typically the you know on any team, the developers are the main bottleneck, because the business analyst gathers requirements for the developers. Oftentimes they don't know the technical details, so they have to ask you. The project manager needs to know the state of the project, so oftentimes they ask the developer. Quality assurance doesn't have any work unless the developer delivers anything to be tested a lot of times. And then designers need the developer to implement it, and it just goes around and around. So um, you'll just start seeing that all these things that are spreading out, the support staff. I think we're going to see some changes in that aspect of what actually defines a support staff. The dev support team, and those jobs may change much more than the niche of development, which would be interesting.
Okay. Let's see. So what's your roadmap? I asked your roadmap. And very nice roadmap, impressive. Um, and you do mentorships. what are your recommendations to new developers who are either, like maybe were in your situation, or maybe that, just they have like a GED or something and they're just trying to get their foot in the game?
Yeah, for the most part, I would say consistency. See what's out there on the market in terms of skills and just continually work towards that, as well as side projects. Have a long-term side project that you can continue to work towards. And if you can make some money with it, that'll help keep you motivated. But really at the end of the day, just that consistency of every day taking that one step closer.
Yeah, no, that's true. Every day you just got to, that's why I say code daily, you just got to do it every day and you can't stop, because that's, that focus is what it's about. Once you have enough on your resume, it doesn't really matter. you know you just got to know what you're doing, because there's so many people out here that don't know what they're doing and they're just like slack offs. They just sit there and freaking play EverQuest all day, or while at work. Just people that don't try to progress.
hmm
All right. Oh, dude, why'd you change the channel name? Yeah, what happened with that? Why'd you do that?
Yeah, so I changed it to my name because that's really what this channel will always be. It will always be my channel.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a personal branding thing as well. And so it just made sense to me to be like, at this time, this is my software channel, and like it will always be that. And I want to sort of promote me as a developer, which is why I changed the name.
All right, Dylan. Hey, thank you, man. And again, much success to you, man. Thank you. Hey, and also, let me ask you this right quick. What's the difference between Code Academy and Free Code Camp, man? Because like I've always done Free Code Camp, and I've always been a little reluctant to do Code Academy, because I didn't really want to waste my time on it. Like, especially, time is kind of valuable in a way.
Yeah. So I would encourage you to do both, because I think that repetition will help you get situated. And like when I was doing Code Academy, I did every language on there, and I was just like, all right, I just have to learn to think like a developer. And you'll blow through. If you're like, oh, I did JavaScript, maybe I'll blow through the JavaScript section. That's fine. That's still time well spent. But it's essentially just easier. It holds your hand a lot more, which I think is where its faults is.
All right, Dylan Israel, thank you, and have a good one, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, you have reached the end of this podcast today with Dylan C. Israel and W3Develops. If you want to, first of all, thank you very much, Dylan, for coming on the podcast with us. And if you would ever like to come back, you're more than welcome anytime. And if you want to find out more about Dylan, you can find him on YouTube, Facebook, and his website, Coding Tutorials 360. And as you see, it has all of his social media links. You can also go to his Facebook group. And as you can see, they have a very active, very live Facebook group. I'm a member. They have plenty of more active members in there, all contributing to the community and learning and helping others. Code Daily.